Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Summers County Board of Education regular meeting, December 10th, 2024, 6 p.m. at Summers County Comprehensive High School. I'll let the roll call reflect that 4 board members are present, with Mrs. Farley unable to be here with us tonight. We have a couple students from the Summers County Ag Science Department and also members of the FFA. I'd like to ask them, if they would please, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we have item 3, approval of agenda and adjustments. So I'm going to make a motion that we remove under extra duty, extracurricular coaches and volunteers, Brenna Davis. And that'll be added to the next agenda that we have in January.
I'll second that.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we remove Brenna Davis under extra duty, extracurricular coaches and volunteers. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that that motion has been approved. Also, under new business, item E, discussion or possible action to approve overnight trips. We need to add one trip, Brian Boone and Austin Bowers, May 3rd through the 7th, 2024, to Des Moines, Iowa. And that's for one of the committees they're going to be on.
Second that.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that under new business, item E, we add Brian Boone and Austin Bowers for an overnight out-of-state trip to Des Moines, Iowa, May 3rd through the 7th, 2025. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that that motion has been approved.
With that being said, should we move item E after item J, move J up? In the business,
We probably should.
I'll make a motion that we move item J to before item E.
Second. We have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, to, under new business, to move item J up and handle that before item E. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that we will move item J under new business up and handle that before item E.
We'll
Okay,
make a motion that we pull Safe and Sound and RT Rogers out of the bills to be paid separately.
second. Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, to pull RT Rogers and Safe and Sound out of the bills and handle those separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that we will pull RT Rogers and Safe and Sound out of the bills and handle those separately. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the changes?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the agenda has been approved with the aforementioned adjustments. Item 4, presentations. We have director's updates on academic achievement and student growth. Who goes first?
Well, they're gonna do it together,
Okay.
but, Ms. Jones, did you want me to introduce our two guests tonight and give them a recognition, or are you doing that?
I will pass that off to you.
Well, thank you.
It's an important
All right,
recognition.
we had two young ladies here who are educators for us, and both of them worked the last 2 years of their life at least, right? 2 years it takes? Okay, we got a show off over here. 1 year, way to go. Okay, 1 to 2 years, that's awesome that both of them were able to do that. So what's a long process with that is most people are getting it done in 2 years because they have life, they have kids, they have other stuff that they get involved in, and it is very difficult. But if we could have Pearl Knott come up here and also Kathy Duffield so they can be seen on camera, we want to recognize them for being nationally certified board teachers. And that is not an easy task for them to do. So we want to give them kudos. Good job, ladies. And you two want to tell them about your experience to get through that? It wasn't easy, because I know that.
No, I think ours are probably different.
They are, yeah.
Mine was in literacy, 3 through 12, and yours was,
Mine was career and technical education, early adulthood to adults,
so way different age ranges.
much different.
Yep.
Can you tell the board just real quickly what you all have to do to get through this process? It's a lot of time and effort and energy, but you also have to videotape yourself, submit a lot of information. Is there anything else that you guys could let them know what you go through?
It was mine was 4 components. 2 were written, 1 was a big test, and then the other one was video and written. Very stressful, a lot of work.
Mine also was 4 components. Component 1 is a giant test. And component 2 was a written component about some educational strategies, and there's a lot of writing about why did you do this, why did you not do this, why was this successful, why was this not successful, and proving those things. Pages and pages of things like lesson plans and success and not success charts, and I remember making lots of graphs.
Lots of charts.
Lots of charts. By the way, my students had to show me how to make said charts because I'm not technology savvy. I also had a video component, so I had to take 2 videos, and it was the same thing. Why did you do this? Why did you not do this? Why did you choose this? There's a whole list of questions you have to answer. And the writing for it is difficult because it's not what you are used to. You're used to writing that flows and sounds beautiful. That's what we've been taught during our educational journey. They want you to talk like a lawyer. Write like a lawyer,
Like,
cut dry. I did this because this.
no
This
adjectives.
didn't work because this. Not, well, if I would have chose differently
Yes.
and the day had not been interrupted, nope, this didn't work. This is why. And so that was tough.
That was the hard part.
That was the hard part, writing it. Just answer the question.
Yes.
That's the best advice.
No fluff.
No fluff. There was also a component that centered, my component 4 was centered around my needs as a teacher, professional development wise, how those tied into my students' needs, how that also tied into the community's needs, and how it benefited the school overall. It was that I struggled the most with component 4.
I did too.
So,
It was big.
it was big.
A lot of-
And it was like, it didn't align, like it was very
like
disjointed.
different little
Yeah.
pockets that you had to work in.
And it ties back to that writing not flowing and
Yes.
how it's not how we're taught to do
Right.
things.
No.
And it just, I thought I bombed that one, I'm gonna be honest.
I thought that was fun too. The video.
It's like a support group for you two.
Yeah. So,
Well, we're very proud of you ladies. We now have a total of 4 in the county. Miss Becca Brown as a principal at Talkit. We also have Kelly Mills at Hinton Area Elementary and these two ladies, and we have a couple more in the county. I don't want to mention their names because if it's a process where you say, I don't know if I can get this done,
Yeah.
life gets in the way, and these ladies could probably tell you, I felt like I was there and then something happened. And
Right.
to hear that you have to do it a different way, that's tough.
Mhm.
That's tough, but we're really proud of you guys for doing this.
And that's, it's cool you said that because you have 3 years to do it. And I had the mindset and I'm like, I'm a busy lady. I don't know if y'all know this or not. I was like, if I don't do this now and get it done, that it will not
You
work
won't
for
get
me.
it
I will
done.
never get it done. So overachiever, I don't think so. Just if I didn't do it in one setting, it was not getting done.
Yeah.
I
So now
didn't
y'all
wanna
are
spend
getting
any
your
more
doctorates,
time.
right? So now you guys are getting your doctorates, right?
Well,
Maybe.
maybe.
Oh, I like it.
Don't be shy.
I already started that, yes. I'm like 12 hours deep in that.
I'm just gonna take your hands. This is awesome.
Let's get a picture with everybody.
Someone have a camera and get a picture?
Yeah, everybody.
Oh, this is Darren.
We'll send you rolling the picture.
You all can make
How many of us squashed you? Yeah.
I guess we got two overachievers. You guys set the bar and everybody's on, feel like I gotta get it done in 1 year.
That's awesome.
And you don't have to stay for extra credit. I know that was the question. Do we? We do have, Ms. Jones and Dr. Knott. They were just gonna tag team.
Okay.
Chad is at the next couple of days. He has to go to do all the state training.
Mhm.
He will report to you all from attendance and, from the facilities attendance and other duties that he does in the county. But these two can chime in about what we're doing to increase student achievement. And then talk to you from what we're trying to be working with our principals and then also special ed department as well, tying in with the general ed. So, ladies.
Well, I typed you up with some information about some of the programs and supports that we're providing students with disabilities and our teachers. The first thing is the Wilson Reading System. The Wilson Reading System, we have trained special ed teachers. Every special ed teacher at each of the elementary schools is trained now. New teacher who we're hopefully hiring tonight will be trained before she starts, so that she can just pick up where we left off. And we've also trained one at the middle school level and one at the high school level so that there's continuity with the students. We started this last year, so not a lot of continuity yet on that. But there's a little blurb about what Wilson Reading System is, and it ties in with, it's Fort Gillingham and all of the reading programs that are being done with gen ed students. This is just tier 3 intervention for special ed students. We've also purchased some so that we can provide for some students that need extra support ISL. Last year we had it for all students. We weren't using it very much, but it's a very good program. So we purchased some licenses so that we could offer it to the students that needed it. Barton Reading, we're still using that. We have several people that are trained. And right now we're just doing it with one tier 4 student. Each town we're doing with our students with moderate to severe disabilities. It's just a way to provide them with equitable access to a very similar curriculum as the gen ed curriculum. We would like you to know that Ms. Mann is going to test very soon, and then she will be fully certified as a board certified behavior analyst. And then we are continuing to work with Ms. Kesey. She's contracted, and both of those people have been helping at all of the schools with all students, not just students with disabilities, working with behaviors. just a little bit more information, reminder about Tier 4. This is year 2 of our 5-year grant, and all of those things are the things that we're hoping to, by year 5, have in place. There are some things that we're still working on. Mental health services, I will say, is one of the biggies, because while we have a lot of things available at our school, these are very involved students, the 4 students that we have there. We have a grant-funded graduation coach here at this school, 2 periods a day, working to make sure our students graduate. She's also working not just with students with disability stuff. We're doing some professional development, eligibility guidelines for the alternate assessment, autism transition planning. And tonight, a book study started, Visual Thinking by Temple Grandin. So those are some things. And then I just gave you some information, which I've already told you, I think, on the general summative assessment for students with disabilities. And then the alternate statewide assessment. While we showed growth, we didn't meet. There's 2 targets. We have a local target we're aiming to meet, and then we have the state target. While we didn't meet either one of those for a lot of them, we are showing growth. And that, so that you know, my special ed department has chosen improvement on statewide assessments as our targeted systemic improvement plan with the state. So there is a plan, and we're working toward that, and there are actions. And I can get you a copy of that if you would like it. On the alternate assessment, they did a little bit better, meeting some targets, but still it's kind of the same thing. And that's, they take that, it's a different assessment, but based on the alternate standards, and that's for the moderate to severe students. And I also wanted you to know, and you may already know, we've been identified as needing intensive intervention by the state because the national and state goal is only 1% or fewer of our students taking that alternate assessment, and we're 2% or more. So we've developed an improvement plan, and we're working with the state to try to bring that number down. I do not think there's a lot of wiggle room in that number, and because when we lose students, and I've talked with the other Mr. Warble and the directors about this, when students go to homeschool or they go to, they move out of the county. These students at moderate and severe classrooms, they don't ever leave. So our percentages are not going to reduce. But we are working with the state to try to make sure that we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing before we put them on alternate standards. Sorry.
One thing I didn't think to ask is that if, with that being, or given that information, kind of the population data, if it's all legitimate, how do we get taken off the?
Well, the national goal and the state goal, because the state has to do what the nation told them to do,
Right.
is 1%.
Yeah.
So we're probably always going to be working toward that. But every year I've had to do a justification.
Yeah.
And every year that's part of the justification. This year there is some more training on the eligibility requirements for alternate assessment. So we're just making sure that all of our special ed teachers get that training so that when they decide to put them on alternate standards, they realize the implications of what that means for the kids for our county. So, but it is part of our justification. Is what it is.
And you may not know the answer to this, and if you don't, maybe if you can just get back with me, but out of the special ed students, what percentage of those students took the general summative assessment versus the percentage that took the alternate assessment? Or did I misunderstand how this was done?
Well, I can tell you not right now.
Okay.
How that's percentages figured out, but
Yeah,
the alternate, I know it's like over 2%, but it's like 2.32%.
Okay.
But then the next year, it's gonna be maybe it depends on the students taking the test,
Mhm.
and which ones graduated, and how many more came in.
Okay.
So
So that'll change
that'll change.
based
And it
on the
changed
student
every year.
population.
But it's always been in the upper 1s to 2%.
Okay. And that's what we have to get below the 1% is the
That's the
the
target.
alternate
Mhm.
assessment. And it
Taking
also
the alternate assessment,
taking the also, it has to be below the 1%.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
because that's.
So,
national
so my
goals,
thinking
and it's state
was
goals.
when Ms. Harvey mentioned the state visit, I was thinking about the alternate alternate diploma, which they also want below 1%.
Yeah, because if they're
Yeah.
taking the alternate assessment, they're getting an alternate.
Okay, okay. All right, that ties that
It's the same
together
group.
for me.
Yeah.
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 That
It's the same
actually
group.
correlates. Of all things, that one correlates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And this data, just so you know, it's called the annual desk audit. I think I shared with you. April is when we get it. But you have to understand some of it's lag data. It's already a year old when we
Mhm.
get it. It has to be. So the newest assessment isn't on that because we get it in April. So, they don't even take the assessments till May. But we're working. We have certified tech web teachers more than I think we've ever had, which is
That's
exciting.
good.
And the other ones are in, alternate certification programs that are working really hard. A lot of continuity, not lost people and then having to start. So hopefully we go.
Okay.
With Summers County's being 2% or more, we have much company in the state being in that.
Oh, yes. A lot of company. I can't tell you what, but the next time if you want to know.
I just curious about. I mean,
And we're
it's
such
just
a-
something you really don't have a ton of control over.
We
It
do
just is
not.
what it is.
And Summers County is it's called the 1% population because it's a very small
Mhm.
population anyway. And Summers County is smaller than everybody else, so one student can bump you over,
Mhm.
1%. So, but I think they realize that, but it is a goal from the nation to the state, so the state has to make it our goal too.
So, before you step, so just so in a class of, let's say you have a class of eighth graders that are, and 86 students in this class. So if we have one student taking the alternate statewide assessment, that pushes us over the 1%.
It does, but not with the 86. It's more with the the special ed
Special ed
population.
population.
Okay, so I'm thinking total numbers. So when you break that down even further to, you have
Makes it even.
10 of those 86 in special ed and you have one student,
Yeah.
you're at 10% instead of,
There's a formula. It's not a
Okay.
straight thing,
Not a
but
straight.
it does have to do with the students in special ed.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sorry, the wheels were turning a little slow. That's why you were
I thought
able
that's
to,
what you're asking.
you were able to start walking away before I could think of my question.
That's a good question, because some people think of a classroom, which you can, or a class, graduating class of 86,
Mhm.
but then you gotta look at, okay, this population of gen ed versus special ed, but are those the kids who are actually being tested too?
Right.
So you could have more severe before they get to third grade, and they're not being tested in third grade, or till third grade, so then that number can be skewed until, once they hit third, up to the 8, all of a sudden that number fluctuates, because they're always moving up, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, Okay.
It's a slippery slope when you're trying to figure all the data out, so.
We do have very good participation in what's on here, but we have very good, 100% in every category.
Mhm. good, good.
As you all know, Mr. Warble, he set the bar at the beginning of the year, and we all are included in that and share that focus with at least 5% achievement growth in ELA and math. So we will be graded on our balanced scorecard this spring. of this school year, spring of 25, for our state testing, our attendance indicators, and our behavior indicators. We're graded every year on that scorecard, but this year we'll designate the schools that will be school improvement schools. So we do have a chance to move some of our schools off that list, and that's our goal. We also, with the State Department's help, we looked at the strategic plan and the programs that we were using at all of our schools. The biggest difference that we made was at the elementary schools. We felt like we had too many computer programs and honestly too much screen time for our students. So we let go Accelerated Reader, Reflex, and Frax. Reflex and Frax is two math computer programs. And then we also made some adjustments with our PBIS incentive. We also restructured our monthly principal meetings. They used to come and we would give them our notes, we'd go over it. It was a lot of sit and get, and that's what we expect our teachers to change their way of teaching and not have the students sitting and getting all the time. So we recognized the need to change the structure of the principal meetings. And now our focus is collaboration, analyzing data, and goal setting. So at each meeting, we analyze some type of data, whether that's benchmark data, progress monitoring, state testing. So we look at those areas of strengths and weaknesses, and we also analyze classroom assessments. We have our principals bring one assessment to the meeting, and we collaborate. There's lots of good conversation going on with our principals in the meeting. And we look at each question and we ask, the first question we ask is, how can we raise the bar on this question and increase the critical thinking of our students? You might hear someone say, raise the DOK level, but when you hear that, it's actually wanting our students to think more critically. We also have the principals sharing instructional strategies and best practices that are working in their schools. And every meeting so far, I think all of our principals have gleaned things that they can use from each other in their buildings. We also look at their walkthrough data for the month, and they discuss how their 10-minute meetings went with their teachers. They've even given each other suggestions on how better to hold a 10-minute meeting. With regard to ELA and math achievement, I'll start with elementary and let you know some things that we're doing there, and then we'll move into the secondary. Elementary, we do have a Science of Reading team. That is an initiative from the State Department, and we have been receiving training with the state team, and then our county team has been providing training as well. And we've had Amanda Wheeler here before showing you the phonics lessons and different things. We have monthly Science of Reading team meetings, and we have a literacy specialist that comes from the State Department that meets with us. We have a common set of look-fors. When the principals go in the classrooms, what should they be looking for? Are we meeting those 5 pillars of the Science of Reading? We also have common goals between our elementary schools. When we analyzed the data a couple years ago and last year, there is a need to increase fluency and comprehension. So we are working on those goals at all 3 elementary schools. We also are using the same phonics, explicit phonics curriculum at all schools. That's Foundations and Hegarty. And we also have built in some of the Wilson and the OG in intervention. We have ongoing professional development, and most of our PD this year is coming from the State Department. We have this Friday coming up this week, we will have Dyslexia Train the Trainer. So Kristen Richmond, our specialist, has already been trained, and then she will train our Science of Reading county team. And then we will push that training out to the rest of our staff. That is a requirement under HBill 3035, the Third Grade Success Act. So we want to make sure we're in compliance with all of those requirements in that bill. And then the State Department just recently signed a contract with Letters. It stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. There's going to be 3 different sign-up dates. The first sign-up closed today. This is for administrators and teachers. It's a 2-year commitment for our educators. As of right now, I know that we have some coaches or specialists taking it, and then I signed up, and I've encouraged our principals. And then hopefully we can get a lot of our teachers signed up in the August sign up or the October sign up and registration. We also, for math, we have an early numeracy team, and that is also a WVPE initiative. And this year, our specialist comes and meets with us monthly. And this year's focus is really just building relationships between her and our team members. The state wanted to kick this off kind of slowly, not overwhelm everybody, because we just had our new textbook adoptions last year. So they know everybody's trying to learn a new curriculum. We do have a common goal in our math for our elementary as well, and that's math fluency and problem solving. We also have coaching sessions with our curriculum that we purchased in Novomat, and those coaching sessions are for our teachers. And then they also meet with all the principals so they can go over if they're having any issues or technology needs and things like that. So we meet with them on a regular basis. And then we also have from the State Department, they've made these nice binders or booklets, the educator guide for math, and we have one for each grade. And then we also have the 8 mathematical habits of mind. So our county team, our county numeracy team has decided to make this our PD initiative for this year. From now until May, we're going to slowly go through the mathematical habits of mind and the educator guide. This will be during the PLCs at each school. Talkett and Kenton area have those built in during the school day, and then Jumping Branch does theirs after school. So everybody, we're doing the same PD, same everything at each school. So hopefully we all can see some growth at the end. Now for the secondary building. They are preparing for SAT school day this spring. Our 11th graders will take that. They are taking the practice test in Blue Book. And Blue Book is the program where the SAT school day is housed. So if they're taking those practice tests in that platform, then we hope that they'll be used to using the tools, the online tools, and be ready for that test. They're also using SAT practice test questions as bell ringers. Getting our 6th through 8th graders ready for the West Virginia Summative Assessment in the spring. The teachers are aligning the Cambian modules to their teaching standards, and they're giving those in the classroom. And that's just short practice tests to help them get ready as well. And then 6 through 12, they are using IXL as a skills practice. And those skills are based on how the student performed on their benchmark. So it's tailored to each student's needs. That's what we're doing for ELA and math at the high school, but the high school, they have some additional goals and some lofty goals, and I'm excited about that. We want to increase our CT enrollment. How do we do this? How are we going to go about it? I met with Dr. Green and we brainstormed some ways that we could do this. So in the spring, when we do the arena scheduling, we have the parents come in and we go over all those programs, but we're going to add in a component where the 8th grade parents and the students sit down in a small group. We'll we'll have to have more than just the counselors probably help us with this. But we want to see what those eighth graders are interested in and then offer them their ninth grade year an intro to one of the CTE programs, an intro class. And then instead of making them wait till 11th grade to start the CTE program, we would like to see those students be able to start in 10th grade. So they can get that certification by the end of their junior year. We also are still offering the dual credit options. We have worked with the state, actually Dr. Green and I, it was last week, we had a virtual meeting with Alex Kreiner and Lauren Landry at the State Department. We got some clarifications on some things that we need to do moving forward. So any new dual credit courses, we will take the syllabus from the college or university and do a standards alignment with our teaching standards to make sure they match up in order to give the dual credit their transcript. We will update our dual credit policy each year if we adopt new dual credit courses. If we don't adopt any, we don't have to make any revisions. And they also, since I was secondary director a couple years ago, they have implemented a dual credit platform where you have to go on and enter this information with the State Department. So we will do that on a yearly basis as well. Grow Your Own Pathway. I know you all had some questions a few months ago on that. We currently do not have any participants, but we want to see that grow as well. We have smart kids. We have kids that want to be educators. We need to nudge them or at least offer this opportunity. And that's also going to take place at their arena scheduling. If you're interested in teaching, then Paula Rose's education class here would be a great option. Or you may want to start some of the dual credit classes through Concord, Marshall. There's several institutions offering classes for that.
Ms. Jones, can you let them know about how that class has helped get us aides
Oh, yes.
real quick? I don't want to take your thunder,
Sure.
but
From Miss Paula Rose's class, last year we employed an aide and she is working at Jumping Branch, does a phenomenal job. And then
tonight we have,
tonight we are hiring another one and she's going to be working at Talbot. So it's a real blessing when you can see them this little, all the way up to high school and get that certification as an ECAT and be able to graduate, start a job that has insurance and benefits and can start counting retirement. So that's been a real blessing, that CTE program. Professional development at the high school, they assess their assessments. Teachers are still doing that. They have regular PLC meetings and data meetings. And then this year, Dr. Green wanted to put something new, a new lesson plan strategy in place. And that's the handout I gave you. It's called Backwards Design. It's a lesson plan strategy developed back in 1998 by Grant Wiggins and Jay McFly. And this year so far, the teachers have been asked to do one unit. Some started back during the summer in Teacher Academy and some started in August. That first unit plan was due in September. The teachers received feedback. The teachers made some revisions and then they received additional feedback in November. So it's been an ongoing process, either since the summer or August. And then the teachers have been asked to complete one additional unit plan before Christmas break. And then they'll receive some feedback on that one as well. Some benefits to the backwards design model is that it ensures that all aspects of the unit, your activities, your assessments, your learning targets, materials, it all matches up to the rigor of the standard. And it's a little bit backwards because you always start with your standards. You don't have to go through a textbook page by page, but you look at your standards, you start with the standards, And then you ask yourself, how am I gonna assess the students to mastery? So you do your assessment first, and then you build your learning activities that will help your kids master that standard. So that's why it's called backward design, because you're kind of doing things backwards than how we learned when we went to college. But there are some benefits to it, and I did give you a handout. And if you have, more questions, I know I just hit the surface level of backward design model. But Dr. Green, he can answer questions. I can try to help you with your question. But it's just a different way of lesson planning. And I will tell you one other thing. I should have started out with this, but we have really good people here. And it's great that we have a shared vision of and goal of increasing our math and achievement. And I truly believe from the central office to the specialists, the principals, the teachers, the service personnel, I think we're all working really well together. And just real thankful for everybody working together for our kids.
As are we.
Any questions?
So is there any, with everything that's in play right now, and maybe it's too soon to tell, but is there any indication as to, how these things are impacting, benchmark data?
It's a little too early to tell since they've only completed one, but the assessment or the unit design that's due right before Christmas break, that was to be on standards that they're going to cover the third 9 weeks. So we could get some baseline data on a pre-test and then a post-test using this lesson plan strategy. And we could come back to them in the sometime between the third 9 weeks and give a report on that.
The first one, the one that they've done so far, that we've kind of already gone through the motions. The goal was for them to pick one that they were gonna teach in the first 9 weeks or first semester. Some of them did that, some of them just picked another unit, maybe kind of their favorite unit. But for the second one that they're gonna turn in, it is one that they are going to teach. So, we're gonna get those before they leave for Christmas break. And the expectation is we'll provide feedback, they'll fix it, but that they will let us know when they get to that point in the semester. And we're gonna come in and observe that and see how it's working, and provide some feedback on it. So, it'll probably be maybe at the end of the third 9 weeks when we get everybody kind of completed, because everybody will probably be in a different place. We can bring the data to you and say, this is what we've seen, pre-test to post-test. That they've covered.
Thank you. All right, anything else for that? Okay, item 5, public comments.
There are none.
Thank you. Item 6, approval of minutes we have before us. We'll handle these separately. We have on October 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. a set of minutes before us that the superintendent recommends for approval. There was one amendment to that, and that was the amendment on the head coaching position for baseball.
That was the one where we took off, but there was some confusion that it was voted upon, but
Right.
I thought it would be best to put it back on for everybody to understand that no baseball coach was hired that night. That was stricken, but we wanted the minutes to reflect that in a board meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the October 22nd board minutes. Mentioning the head baseball coach was not hired.
Second. And we have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride for the October 22nd, 2024 meeting minutes. And again, that one has the head baseball coaching position struck. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the minutes from October 22nd, 2024 have been approved. We have now November 21st, 2024. Mr. Brogan did point out just one adjustment that needs made under approval of minutes. The first line there, Mr. Angel made a motion to approve the November 1st minutes, and it should read Mrs. Farley, and Mr. Brogan abstained.
Make a motion that we approve the November 21st minutes with the change.
I'll second. So we have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by myself, to approve the November 21st, 2024 meeting minutes with the one mentioned change. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 2-0 vote with 2 abstentions that the minutes from November 21st, 2024 have been approved. Item 7, approval of bills. Brogan, do you need to make a statement? Okay.
Leave the room because I have a conflict of interest.
All right, we have before us under approval of bills, item 7, RT Rogers and Safe and Sound.
Make a motion, we pay RT Rogers for Safe and Sound.
A motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the bills for RT Rogers Safe and Sound. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote that the bills for RT Rogers and Safe and Sound have been approved, with Mr. Brogan recusing himself. Okay, we have before us the remainder of the bills.
Make a motion to take the rest of the bill.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we pay the remainder of the bills. All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the remainder of the bills have been approved for payment. Item 8, new business, approved purchases over $25,000.
There are none.
Great. Item B, discussion or possible action to approve meeting date changes. We are only having one meeting this month, so we talked about moving the first meeting of January to January 7th rather than the 14th. That'll allow bills to be paid in a timely fashion since we're not having a second meeting this month.
It says in the meetings for January will be the 7th, and then and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program,
Yeah.
not on the 14th, but that.
On the
7th,
28th.
28th.
28.
Make a motion that we approve the changes for our meetings for December and January.
Second.
Have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the meeting changes for December and January. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the meetings for December and January, the changes there have been approved. Item C, discussion or possible action to approve the bid for Tri-State Roofing and Sheet Metal of West Virginia for the CTE roof renovations. That's a total cost of $608,273. 93% of that is funded by school building authority and 7% of that funded by county funds.
They indicated when they would like to get started with the project and when it would be finished approximately.
It has to be done by the end of March. They'd like to start as soon as they can, so as soon as, if it gets approved tonight, they're ready to get a contract ready and get rolling on it. Always pending weather.
Right.
I'll make a motion, we approve the bid.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride to approve the bid for the CTE roof renovations. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the bid for the CTE roof renovations has been approved. That's with Tri-State Roofing and Sheet Metal for a total cost of $608,273. Item D, discussion or possible action, intro to speech and oral communication standard.
Do you want to speak about this a little bit? Either one of you? Dr. Green?
Right, you have before you standards for class. The West Virginia Department of Ed publishes what's called a WEBA course code manual. WEBA is our student feedback system. And the course code manual lists all the courses that are eligible to be taught in West Virginia. But they do not list standards for every course or provide standards for every course listed in that catalog. So if you as a school or a school system choose to offer one of those courses, then you have to build the standards yourself and you have to put them before your local board for approval. And Ms. Jones told you in her report, one of the things we've done is we've kind of been working with our dual credit to clean that up. And we have a student who is taking a speech and communication class through Concord University through the Level Up program. And we need, as part of that program, we have to offer a dual credit for it. In order to give a dual credit, as Ms. Jones talked about earlier, you got to do a standard. Well, there were no standards for that course, so we can't do an alignment until we have approved standards. So tonight, what I have put before you is a series of standards for speech and oral communications. What I did was, that would be a class that 1 or 2 students would take. So we wouldn't offer it face-to-face. We would go through West Virginia Learns and they would take that course there. So I reached out to Gloria Burdett of the State Department asking for the standards that they use for that program. So she directed me to the course program and the standards were listed there. So I pulled those standards from the course that a student would take through West Virginia Virtual Learns if they were taking it through us. And I put them into the format that you have right there. So tonight, what we need to do is, I need you all to review those and if possible, approve them. So now that we have an approved set of standards to do the course, the course alignment to make sure that, Concord's course is going to line up to that one.
Can you say what you did again about West Virginia Learns? So you did the,
I pulled the standards from
From
that
West
course
Virginia Learns.
And what the West Virginia Learns course.
okay,
He was trying not to reinvent the wheel.
right, yeah,
Work smarter, not harder.
right.
And so the student is already enrolled. And so this is just taking what they're already enrolled in, applying standards to it. Which can get new county approval.
And I won't say to you that this won't be something that you have to do from time to time, because with the Level Up program, and there seems to be a lot of support, so I think it'll be a sustained program. We're going to encounter that, the students are going to take courses that we don't currently have standards for, and we'll have to do this, we'll have to do it again. So, I won't say it'll be frequent, but it will be more common in the future than have in the past.
I assume Mr. Jones has looked over this, just meet your approval.
Yes, we've been in conversation.
Collaborate.
Yes.
So we're making sure, and I'm just trying to make sure I understand this right. We're making sure the course that the student is currently enrolled in meets the standards for a approved
Once we have,
course in
once we
high
have
school
that,
course.
then we'll send it to Dr. Liptak at Concord, who's kind of over the level up program,
Mhm.
and she will have them do the alignment for us.
Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion that we approve trade speech and oral communication.
Second?
Have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride to approve the intro to speech and oral communication standards. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. The minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the intro to speech and oral communication standards has been approved. Hey, we're going to jump to item J real quick, and that's discussion or possible action to approve employees to serve on committee. This is for Brian Boone and Austin Bauer. They've been chosen to serve on the 17th National Congress on School Transportation Committee.
This is quite an honor for us to get not only a director of transportation, but, I don't want to take anything away from Brian Boone, but Austin has been recognized by a lot of people as a young, talented man who knows a lot about mechanics. He is being headhunted by, I'll just say, Matheny out of Beckley, and he's ours. So my point is when you have a shining star like that and Brian doing what he's done, it's a good collective effort to have a couple people represent our county at the national level. So I think this is pretty exciting for us that these two gentlemen were picked by their peers per se. That's quite an honor if you ask me on that.
I'll make a motion that we approve this trip for, Mr.
Serve
Boone.
on the committee.
Oh,
This is,
this is,
Sir,
sir.
yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve, these employees to serve on the committee.
I'll second. Motion on the floor by Mr. McBride, seconded by myself to approve Brian Boone and Austin Bauer to serve on the 17th National Congress on School Transportation Committee. Any discussion?
Are there membership fees or anything associated with this other than the conference that we're going to talk about?
Not to my knowledge, it's what this packet that they put here. This is all that'll cost. That's the cost, the total.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. But the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that this item has been approved, and that's for Brian Boone and Austin Bauer to serve on the 17th National Congress on School Transportation Committee. Okay, back to item E, discussion or possible action to approve overnight trips. We have 2 trips, one for Coach Bowling and Coach Blevins. This is to the Ritchie County Tournament, December 27th and 28th, 2024. The second is for Brian Boone and Austin Bowers for we just mentioned the conference for the 17th National Congress on School Transportation Committee, and that's May 3rd through the 7th, 2025. And one is an overnight trip, one's an overnight / out of state. And that the Brian Boone, Austin Bowers, that's an overnight out of state. I'll make a motion that we approve these 2 trips.
Second?
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride to approve the 2 overnight / out-of-state trips. This is for Coach Bowen, Coach Blevins. And that's December 27th, 28th, and Brian Boone and Austin Bowers, May 3rd through the 7th, 2025. Any discussion?
The costs for the conference, will those be paid out of county funds, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
And then does this fall under transportation or transportation
It's not one way.
reimbursement?
That's probably up. I can't answer that one way or the other, but I can get you an answer.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that these two trips have been approved. Item F, discussion or possible action regarding the former Hinton High School property. A resolution to declare surplus and authorize the board president to convene the property to a qualified nonprofit organization. On that one, we did sign the paperwork for Three Rivers Foundation,
Yeah, their attorney.
Three Rivers
our-
Forever
and,
Foundation.
Yeah, the board's attorney and, their attorney, which is also the attorney for the city of Hinton. We've just worked, Mr. Metter's been working hand in hand with them. And basically all parties agree to the paperwork.
Okay,
They're authorizing you to sign off to say you're ready to be done and gift it.
okay.
It's actually moving quicker than I thought it would. I think everything's
Good.
moving pretty quickly.
Well, good.
Recuse myself since I'm employed by the nonprofit.
Okay, we have before us the resolution to declare surplus and authorize the board president to convey the property to a qualified nonprofit organization, which is Three Rivers Forever Foundation.
I'll make that motion. That we authorize the board president to convey the property to the nonprofit organization.
Second.
Have a motion on the floor by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, to authorize the board president to convey the property to a qualified nonprofit organization. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote with Mrs. Harvey recusing herself that the motion to convey the property to a qualified nonprofit organization is passed. Item G, discussion or possible action to approve policies. We have Roman numeral 4G-1, substitutes in area of critical need and shortage. This is our yearly update, and policy Roman numeral 4-H-2, alcohol and controlled substance testing.
There's been no comments. Like you said, the one is yearly for the substitute shortage. And then the other one, like you read about the alcohol controlled substance testing. I think if I recall right, with that one, we kind of talked about a lot last year, kind of
Yeah.
wordsmith. So this one's good to go.
Yep.
Make a motion that we approve policies 4-G-1 and 4-H-2.
Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey to approve policies 4-G-1 and 4-H-2. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that policies 4-G-1 and 4-H-2 have been approved. Item H, discussion, possible action to approve paid administrative leave for November 12th through the 22nd, 2024.
This is regarding the one employee that, we did an investigation on for 2 weeks. And at that point in time, we had to do a paid administrative leave, and by West Virginia state law, I have 30 days to get it in front of the board to approve that, and therefore I wanted to meet the guidelines to be within the 30 days. And tonight meets that requirement pretty easily.
I'm sure this is something that Trey approves that we do.
Yes. Yes.
Make a motion that we approve the paid administrative leave, November 12th through the 22nd.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride to approve the paid administrative leave for November 12th through the 22nd, 2024. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the paid administrative leave for November 12th through the 22nd, 2024 has been approved. A discussion concerning the superintendent's employment term. I'd like to make a motion based on West Virginia Code 6-9A-4 personnel that we go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, based on West Virginia Code 6-9A-4 that we go into executive session. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by 4-0 vote that we will go into executive session. The time is 7:06.
You don't need to spell that either.
All right, we'll call back to session this regular meeting of the Summers County Board of Education. Executive session ended at 7:21 PM. Okay, item K, discussion or possible action, authorization of board president or superintendent to execute and record the required notice of federal interest in certain school property arising out of a COVID-related federal grant.
You want me to try to explain this?
Please.
Okay. The federal government put a lot of money into the states. The federal government is saying to all states, if you use any of the money that goes over $1 million into property, then you have to report that, because what they're doing is kind of like a bank, like a lien. We kind of own that property per se. Now, having said that, would the federal government do that necessarily? I have no idea. But we do have one facility, the Talkett Gymnasium, 1.6 million. So therefore, the state alerted us this summer that we had certain dates to make sure we get stuff sent in. So we knew that we had X, Y, and Z money into schools. We did have one. So we let them know that. They also said if you're using any attorney fees, the state would reimburse us for that. So we are using Bowles Rice, Mr. D'Antoni, who's been working with us with the other school property. And he charges what I sent you all that you saw. He kept it very minimal because that's what the state said they would reimburse us. So basically we pay it, they reimburse us. It's like the SBA project. So we do have one facility that's over $1 million worth of renovations, and that's Talkett Gymnasium.
And so this is just notifying the federal government. It's what this amounts
To let
to.
them know where their federal dollars went. There'll probably be a commission report at some point in time about all the money that was spent. There'll probably be a 60-minute report on money that was wasted. And there'll probably be some report, hopefully, that said their success stories. That's a success story to me in this county, to open up a gymnasium that was defunct, because there was no way of renovating that building with county funds. So
Right.
that's a nutshell of it. Ms. Jones, am I missing anything else? I know you were part of that. We're good?
So it sounds like it's kind of a have to do thing, so I'll make a motion to authorize the board president or superintendent to execute and record the required notice of federal interest in certain school property arising out of the COVID-related federal grants.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, authorizing board president or superintendent to execute and record required notice of federal interest in certain school properties arising out of a COVID-related federal grant. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect that the motion passed by a 4-0 vote.
You abstain.
Abstained.
Somebody.
No,
Oh.
I didn't hear.
I misheard.
Jay was rattling his paper on his.
That was a big, Brogan.
Yeah. All right, under item 9, personnel, we have one that we removed, and that was under extra duty, extracurricular coaching volunteers, but we have before us, no resignations. No, we have one leave of absence. We have 2 employment service. We have 1 employment professional. We have 4 extra duty, extracurricular coaches and volunteers. We have 1 substitute professional, and we have 3 substitute service.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the superintendent's recommendations for personnel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the superintendent's recommendations for personnel has been approved. Item 10, discussion of next agenda. Any items you all want
At Raynell Medical Center.
We have not.
Okay. So I have Reno Medical, and then you want to go ahead and put on there Mr. Metter's report? Since
Yes.
he's at PD.
Okay. Any other items? If not, if you think of anything before January 7th, you can reach out to myself or Mr. Warble. We'll get those added on for you. Item 11, Mr. McBride.
Make a motion, we adjourn. Time is 7:28.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mr. Brogan. We adjourn this meeting. The time is 7:28. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that this meeting is now adjourned.
Happy birthday, Mr. That's a good way to speak for the person.